Saree actually became just a kind of a metaphor for many ways in which we curtail women's choices.
সুপারস্টারকে বিয়ে করা কি একটা ব্যাগেজ?
It does. People want to take pictures with me because they're thinking आमिर की वाइफ देखो मैं आमिर की वाइफ के साथ
আপনাদের রিলেশন এবং আপনার সঙ্গে রিনার সম্পর্ক এগুলো নিয়ে কথা উঠেছে।
social media for most people it was unusual. They don't expect you to be friends with your ex. Certainly less not friends with your ex's ex. It was difficult for us to kind of deal with that.
আমার সঙ্গে আজকে যিনি রয়েছেন তিনি পরিচালক, প্রযোজক এবং তিনি অভিনয়ও করেছেন এবং তিনি রিসেন্ট টাইমে একটা ছবি বানিয়েছেন যেটা দেখে আমি ছিটকে গেছি। আমার সঙ্গে রয়েছেন নান আদার দ্যান কিরণ রাও। আমি প্রথমেই যেটা বললাম সেটা হচ্ছে আই লাভ দ্যাট মুভি সো মাচ, মানে আমি হেসেছি, কেঁদেছি এবং যখন সিনেমাটা দেখছি তখন বুঝতে পারছি যে এখানে ভীষণ বড় একটা মেসেজও আছে। তো কিরণ রাও তার বেস্ট উইমেন সেন্ট্রিক ছবিটা বানিয়ে ফেলছে। আমি কিরণ রাওয়ের বলবো না, আমি বলবো বলিউডের বেস্ট উইমেন সেন্ট্রিক ছবিটা বানিয়ে ফেলেছে। সো আপনার কি রিয়াকশন পেয়েছেন এই ছবিটা রিলিজ করার পর থেকে?
প্রথমে বলতে চাইছি যে আমার বাংলা একটু রাস্টি, তা বিকজ অফ উইচ আমি ইংরেজিতে বলবো, প্লিজ ডোন্ট মাইন্ড। না, আমি খুব ভালো রিয়াকশনস পেয়েছি। এভরিবডি সিমস টু বি লাভিং দ্য ফিল্ম। আই মিন ইটস had a really warm reception from people, from critics, from people internationally. So as a filmmaker, I'm really very, very happy with the reactions.
আমি আপনার কারণেই এই শাড়িটা আজকে পরে এসেছি, বিকজ আপনার ছবিতে শাড়ি এবং ঘোমটা যেটা যতটা মানে হিউমারাসলি প্রেজেন্ট করা হয়েছে, মেসেজ অনেকটা বড় আছে তাতে, তাই তো? তো আপনি যদি একটু এক্সপ্লেন করেন যে যারা ছবিটা এখনো দেখেনি তাদের জন্য।
So the film actually starts with a swapping of two girls on a train because of a ghungat. And it's a small device that we used to talk about how girls' identities are often kept quiet, kept absent from public and not given space to grow. So the Saree actually became just a kind of a metaphor for many ways in which we curtail women's choices. We keep women closeted, or keep their ideas clamped down and don't give them the freedom of thinking, of choice, of action. So Saree, you're right, plays a very important role. I wish I was wearing such a beautiful শাড়ি।
তাহলে আপনি প্লিজ কলকাতা এসছেন যখন শাড়ি কিছু শপিং করেই ফিরবেন।
করতেই হবে তো।
আচ্ছা, আমি ইউনিভার্সিটিতে পড়তে ধোবিঘাট বেরিয়েছিল, তখন থেকে আমি অপেক্ষা করতাম, সব ছবিতে আপনাকে দেখতাম প্রযোজক হিসাবে। আমি দেখতাম কখন কিরণ রাও অ্যাজ এ ডিরেক্টর আসবে। সো মানে আই ওয়াজ থার্স্টি ফর ইউর মুভি। সো দেন কামস লাপাতা লেডিস। এত বছর কেন সময় নিলেন? অলমোস্ট 13 ইয়ার্স।
হ্যাঁ, 13 ইয়ার্স হয়ে গেল। 2011-এ আমার ধোবিঘাট এসেছিল। অ্যাকচুয়ালি ইট ওয়াজ নট প্ল্যান্ড। আমি চাইছিলাম যে আমি আর একটা ছবি বানাবো, কিছু লিখছিলাম। আই হ্যাড রিটেন আ হোল লট অফ স্ক্রিপ্টস অ্যাকচুয়ালি। কিন্তু আমি in a strange way was never fully happy with what I had written, and I feel it's a kind of maybe a headspace, maybe that block of your second film. It's always a much more difficult thing to make a second film, because first film you somehow put in all your personal whatever you want to say into your first film. So maybe I was overthinking it. And there were other practical reasons. I had my son in the same year that Dhobighat was born, and I had really tried very hard to have a child. It was very difficult for me to have Azad. So when I had him, I wanted to enjoy him thoroughly. So for the first, I think, 4 or 5 years, I just genuinely just enjoyed motherhood, and it fulfilled me very whole, completely. And I didn't feel the, sort of desperate pull of go back to a set. I was enjoying it a lot. So a number of reasons why till 2018 I was writing, and in fact lots of those scripts I will now make, but nothing fell in place till Amir got the script of what was then called Two Brides, and that script was written by Biplab Goswami. He's from Calcutta. And he entered it in a script competition, and Amir was a jury in the competition, and that script won the second prize in the competition. And Amir came home and said, I've got an amazing story for you. And that's how it started in 2018.
মানে ওই সবকিছু বোধহয় ডটে ডটে মিলতে হয়।
I think things sometimes happen when they have to. You know,
Actually.
things, one, people call it fate, but I feel it's also a state of mind. You know, it's when you are ready, things fall in place for you, you know.
অ্যাবসলিউটলি অ্যাবসলিউটলি। এখানে সবচেয়ে একটা মজার বিষয় হচ্ছে যে এখানে আপনি আমির খানকে রিপ্লেস করে দিয়েছেন রবি কিষণ দিয়ে, আর রবি কিষণ বোধহয় জীবনের সেরা অভিনয়টা এখানে করে দিয়েছে। না, ইজ ইট ট্রু দ্যাট?
He was actually not replaced. There was a debate about whether Amir should do it. Amir really wanted to do the role, and you can understand why. You've seen the film. It's such a fantastic character. Any actor would die to do it. So he was very keen to do it. We had a lot of discussions. He said, "Let me test for the role. मैं करके दिखाता हूँ तुमको," and all that. And he did a very good audition. Amazing audition. We watched it. It really tempted me actually, and I thought, should we do it with him? But the thing is, when Amir Khan is in a film and everybody else is a newcomer, it just kind of tips the balance of expectations in a direction where you kind of expect that this guy is going to do something amazing. And I didn't want that expectation of this character. I wanted him to be, you know, unpredictable. You know, surprising.
সিনেমাটা দেখতে দেখতে আমি ভাবছিলাম যে এবার তো কিছু বলুক, এবার তো কিছু করুক।
That's what I wanted, exactly. That's the reason I thought Ravi Kishan would work best, because firstly, he also has a very organic fit with that character. Shekhankar lok, ekdom, he knows the language so well, he knows this kind of person so well. You know, he had all the mannerisms down pat.
The diction, the body language.
Everything was so correct. So for us, I mean, he was a better choice. Finally, even Amir agreed, and we both discussed it and decided that, you know, Raviji brings something very different and fresh to that role, where I don't think anybody would have expected it, you know. So that's why we finally gave up the idea of Amir Khan.
Only Kiran Rao can do that. ওকে, একটা সাক্ষাৎকারে আমি পড়ছিলাম আপনাকে, যে আপনার কথা পড়ছিলাম, এবং সেই সাক্ষাৎকারে আপনি বলছেন যে এখনও কিছু মানুষ আছে, এত কিছু আপনি লাইফে করেছেন, তারপরেও আপনাকে আমির খানের ওয়াইফ, অ্যান্ড আপনি মজা করে বলেছেন যে এখন এক্স ওয়াইফ বলে আমাকে পরিচয় দিতে হয়। সো এই সুপারস্টারকে বিয়ে করা কি একটা ব্যাগেজ? সেটা কি আপনার কখনো মনে হয় যে নিজের পরিচয়টাকে একটু চাপা দিয়ে দেয়?
It does. It's definitely, in some way, your identity becomes inextricably linked with the much bigger personality that you're married to. And I think anybody who's married to any famous person will acknowledge that, boss, you have to relinquish that, unless you carve out an identity that's different and, you know, maybe in a different field, or you're as big a star, but even within the same industry, two actors, one tends to be a bigger star than the other. And I mean, very rarely does it happen that you are able to create as big an identity as a superstar. I certainly haven't been able to, nor do I intend to go out and create some kind of big superstardom for myself. So I'm okay with it. Abhi, now, I think people know me for who I am. They will get to know me, and if they don't, that's also fine. You know, I'm quite okay being who I am. It's just, it's annoying because very often people want to take pictures with me because they're thinking, Amir ki wife, dekho main Amir ki wife ke saath khada. So it's a very annoying thing to have to say no to a person, because they're like, Amir Khan's wife? Haan, please photo denge. So that's the irritating part of it, honestly. It's their love for him that they are now kind of, you know, wanting me in their lives. But it's natural. It doesn't bother me much.
এখন যেটা হয়েছে সেটা হচ্ছে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া, আমরা তাকে অ্যাকসেপ্ট করে নিয়েছি, উই কান্ট ইগনোর এনিমোর আর কি, এমনভাবে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া আমাদের লাইফে চলে এসছে। সেখানে যখন আপনার নাম কোনো সুপারস্টারের সঙ্গে জড়িয়ে, তখন আপনার ব্যক্তিগত জীবন নিয়ে বেশি কথা হয়, এবং আয়রার বিয়েতে আমরা যেটা দেখেছি, হুইচ ইজ ভেরি আনএক্সপেক্টেড, যে আপনাদের রিলেশন এবং আপনার সঙ্গে রিনার সম্পর্ক, এগুলো নিয়ে কথা উঠেছে। আপনি এগুলো কী করে হ্যান্ডেল করেন?
Honestly, it's very easy to handle because we genuinely are a very close family. We've had these ties very naturally for the past 20 years. I've been seeing Amir since, I think, 2004. So it's developed over time, our relationships. And for us, it's a very normal thing to still continue to be friends, to be family, to meet for meals every so often, drop into each other without announcing that we are coming. This is our family life. In fact, we live in almost a little bit of a separated joint family. একই জায়গাতে একই actually আমাদের কম্পাউন্ডে দুটো বিল্ডিং, and in one building my mother-in-law stays on the top floor, I stay on the second last floor, Amir stays below me, his Ira stays in the next building, Junaid stays in the next building, Reena stays just 2 minutes down the road. So in that sense, we are, we're very comfortable being around each other and having each other's support in that sense. So I suppose social media for most people it was unusual. They don't expect you to be friends with your ex.
Yeah.
Certainly less not friends with your ex's ex.
Right.
But Reena is wonderful, and I got lucky. I got such a wonderful family that I don't want to leave them.
আপনার যেটা শেষ ছবি ছিল অ্যাজ এ প্রডিউসার, লাল সিং চাড্ডা, সেটার একটা অদ্ভুত ব্যাপার, সেটা বক্স অফিসে কাজ করেনি, কিন্তু যখন সেটা এলো ওটিটিতে এভরিওয়ান লাভড ইট। সো এই সমীকরণটা আপনি কিভাবে দেখেন? মানে এটা কি করে পসিবল হতে পারে যে সিনেমাটা লোকে গিয়ে পর্দায় পছন্দ করছে না, সেটা ওটিটিতে পছন্দ করছে? অ্যান্ড how much it was heartbreaking for you and Amir for the Lal Singh Chaddha?
Yeah, it was very heartbreaking because it was a film for Amir even more so because he had chased the rights of that film for 10 years. He had put so many years of his life into it. He loved the story, and actually the script was very, very beautiful. So it broke all our hearts when it didn't do well, I have to admit that. But the fact that it did so well on OTT, it really speaks for how audience perception or what audiences are expecting from cinemas. It speaks to that, rather than about the film itself. People, I think, I'm not sure, but they are accustomed to having at their fingertips the choices of so many kinds of cinema that they will arrive on that night at what they like. Yeah. And when they come to the cinema, there is a certain lens with which they want to view the content there. And if it doesn't fit that, you don't have the option of switching channels. You're there to with a certain degree of expectation. And so it's a much more sort of strong reaction, which you would have been like, theek hai, if you were watching it on OTT, but on the big screen, you're like, angry almost or upset or you don't like it, So I feel like having the choice of OTT has sort of changed viewers' habits and maybe our expectations from what cinema can do for you a little bit. Maybe it's something that I'm trying to break with this film, but it's very, very hard to shake. That cinemas need to give you a certain kind of experience, and if they don't, I'm not so sure. Also, it had taken so much time to make that the hype maybe weighed the film down. People were already had heard about the film for 2 years. Yeah. So many things went against us. The film people, like a lot of people, just didn't relate to the film or didn't relate to the characters in the film. It's something that we are still trying to understand where we went wrong. Yeah, and it was difficult for us to kind of deal with that because it was a big film. It was a film coming after so many years of expectation, so it was a bit heartbreaking.
Told that it's his dream project.
It was his dream project, absolutely. In fact, I've always maintained that, look, and so does he, that actually your reward is in making a film that you are happy with, but it's really your reward is in having a great experience making the film. How the film does actually is really never in your hands, and like you said, 1 year later on OTT or 6 months or 2 months later on OTT it does better. So what can you do?
কলকাতা আপনি এসেছেন, কলকাতায় আপনি বড় হয়েছেন, সো ইউর বেস্ট মেমোরি উইথ কলকাতা। আর বাংলা ছবি কি দেখা হয়?
না, বাংলা ছবি দেখা হয় না enough. I feel I'm not able to watch enough films. There's lots of films that I have to catch up on, in fact, and Bangla chobi are some of those that I really need to catch up on. And my best memories of Calcutta, I grew up on Hungerford Street. And my best memories are of that. Then it was a very quiet street. I lived down the road from Saturday Club, and my best memories were coming back from school at whatever time I went to Loreto House. After which, I would go walking down the road at about 3 o'clock in the heat of the day to go for tennis practice at Saturday Club. And then after that, my favorite memories are either sitting in Saturday Club library or sitting on the lawn and having or whatever, a milkshake or a, keema samosa or something. It was such a happy, relaxed childhood. We had so much access to books and sport, and I used to swim. Those were my favorite memories.
And my last question, that's International Women's Day. আবার একটা উইমেন্স ডে চলে এলো এবং আমরা এখনও 2001-এর যে আমাদের আপনার যে গল্প বলছেন সেটা 2024-এও রেলিভেন্ট। মেয়েদের জীবন কতটা বদলেছে, কারণ আপনি অনেক বড় ফিল্ডে কাজ করেন, অনেক রকম মহিলার সঙ্গে আপনার দেখা হয়, তো আপনি কি বলবেন?
Honestly, I feel obviously we have a long way to go. There's been a lot of change in many places, and it's kind of specific maybe to cities or places where there has been a degree of active work in developing infrastructure and safety of women. But we have a very long way to go, and honestly, Women's Day should be the day that we use to sort of revisit and reiterate our commitment to making our country safe for women, making opportunities equal, creating more spaces for women to occupy in every sector of life, and giving them equal respect as any man gets. So I do think we have a way to go. Having said that, the fact that you are here and I am here are testament to the fact that we've come somewhere. We've made big steps, and there are a lot of women in many places of privilege, of power, of stature, and we must use our position to better the lives of women. And I'm hoping leaders and men across the board will also do it. But we've come some way, which is a great thing. I'm sure we are much better off than, say, our parents were. But yeah, I still do think that Dilli dur ast in a sense. Yeah, there's still way to go.
Thank you so much আমাদের এতটা সময় দেওয়ার জন্য।
Thank you, that was lovely.
থ্যাংক ইউ। ক্যামেরায় শুভ্র ঘোষের সঙ্গে সৌমিতা মুখোপাধ্যায়, জি 24 ঘন্টা, কলকাতা।
বাংলার আওয়াজ, বাঙালির আবেগ, জি 24 ঘন্টা।